Well, this sure was a choice, wasn't it? So Doug Walker's work has been getting a lot of attention lately, often from people who used to be fans and have been returning to these videos now with a more critical eye, the irony of which is lost on absolutely no one. And I, as someone who started making movie reviews on YouTube before I had grown out of watching the Nostalgia Critic, am in the embarrassing position many of us find ourselves in of having, at some point or another, tried to ape his format. Because it was the format that everybody used. And sure, I don't have the screen presence to be the next James Rolfe or Doug Walker, but I can at least be Linkara. I think we all could be Linkara if we wanted to. Lewis, if you're watching, that's a joke. You're good. Don't listen to me. But a question occurred to me recently that I don't think I really asked myself when I made videos trying to be Nostalgia Critic reviews of Our Friend Martin or Cyber Vengeance or whatever. Is the Nostalgia Critic review format a good format for reviewing movies? And to answer that, we have to ask, why do people watch movie reviews? I think it's for two reasons. A, to decide whether a movie is worth the time and or money to see, and B, for the purposes of discussion and analysis of the movie. Now, I kinda doubt anybody watches Nostalgia Critic reviews to decide if they're gonna see a movie. He often packages the reviews like that's what they're doing.
If you're looking for a batshit insane movie that'll have you unintentionally laughing in the aisles, then this Wickerham is for you.
But even in the case of movies that are still in theaters when the review is released, the bulk of the review is made up of recapping the movie. And unless your thing is knowing exactly what to expect the whole way through, that's not what you want before you see a movie. So what about that second reason, discussion and analysis? Well, there are plenty of Nostalgia Critic reviews that make a good case for this format, where Doug and Rob had a point they wanted to make about the movie and used the recap format to sprinkle in evidence of their argument before building up to a conclusive thesis. But that's by no means every review. When you're making videos as regularly as Channel Awesome does, you're not going to have a solid and unique take every single time. Some videos get to the end of recapping the movie without coming to any kind of particular thesis, and just end on the note of, boy, that sure was a movie that happened, wasn't it?
Who knows what's on the horizon that is Star Wars?
Like what?
Oh, okay, I felt like we were at a good spot there. It was a good spot to stop.
Really? I wasn't feeling that.
While other videos have a point, but the point is about something other than the movie, which means their take on the movie itself is kind of irrelevant.
I'm ready to tell you my real opinion about the new Ghostbusters movie. I thought the movie was average. It's not great, it's not awful, it's just average.
But that doesn't fit into one of our sides.
Yeah, you can do that.
Wait, is the Nostalgia Critic a centrist? In these cases, the movie is the jumping off point for these larger discussions, but that means that the review isn't really a discussion or analysis of the movie itself. And therefore, it has reached neither criteria of a review. So then, what are Nostalgia Critic reviews for? Well, actually, he's been telling us all along.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to.
The premise of the character is that he is watching movies for us. I didn't watch Doug's review of Super Mario Bros. The movie to decide whether to watch it myself, or even really to hear his take on it. I watched it either for Doug's personality and his jokes, or because I had a vague interest, a morbid curiosity about the movie, but not enough to commit to watching it. So instead, I watched a 10-minute summary with jokes thrown in. And what's unfortunate about that is that in spite of Doug's outspoken self-righteous stance on fair use,
I told you I was protected by satire parody clause, but you didn't listen!
There's a solid argument to be made that the Nostalgia Critic does not qualify as such. One of the questions to ask when deciding if a video about a movie counts as transformative is watching the video a replacement for watching the movie? The answer should, of course, be no. But the answer for a lot of Nostalgia Critic reviews, by design, is yes. You're supposed to watch the review instead of the movie. What Doug and Rob and the team at Channel Awesome have been doing all these years could be likened to an episode of Mystery Science Theater, using these movies as something to bounce off of and turn into comedy. But Mystery Science Theater never purported to be a review or criticism. I haven't really addressed the difference between quote-unquote classic Nostalgia Critic and modern Nostalgia Critic up until this point, but part of what sets them apart is the character and the gimmick. Of course, modern Nostalgia Critic doesn't adhere to the nostalgia concept anywhere near as rigorously, but also classic Nostalgia Critic pretty much always had to hate the movie or TV show he was reviewing. The joke was that it's this guy who's rewatching movies from his childhood and is angry at them for not being as good as he remembered, which is a funny character, but doesn't exactly facilitate genuine nuanced arguments or meeting movies on their own terms.
God, this movie sucks! I mean, what were they thinking? In what insane asylum could this movie possibly be considered good?
It's just Space Jam, dude.
Why you have to be mad?
Modern Nostalgia Critic, on the other hand, seems to be more in line with Doug's real opinions, and does make more of an effort to, say something.
Malcolm! Oh!
But boy, do they take their sweet time saying it, and a lot of the time what they're saying doesn't matter as much as how they're saying it.
You never answered the question. Which of us is the definitive it?
Yeah, scary or funny? Which is it? Well, I'm probably not the best one to answer that, but I do know who is.
Gasp!
Meow?
There's a lot of complicated feelings I've had to unpack in the aftermath of the Channel Awesome controversy. Doug Walker and his associates ran a business that was incredibly irresponsible. In some cases, it's hard not to find hilarious, but in others, it led to people being mistreated, abused, and endangered. And that sucks. And now that I can take a step back and look at the thing itself objectively, the oeuvre that is the Nostalgia Critic, warts and all, I think I took inspiration from the wrong parts. I tried so hard to stick to the formula that seemed to work for Doug and all his many followers, officially endorsed and otherwise. I tried to make a character with a gimmick like everyone else. My gimmick was optimism, looking on the bright side, and while I still think a philosophy of positivity is generally speaking a good thing, it became creatively crushing to apply that universally to my attempts at criticism. Like, you can tell you shouldn't trust me when all I have to say about the animation in Sonic Underground is...
It's good. Next.
I didn't know how to talk about movies I didn't like. Playing a character, in the end, drove me crazy. And I think it might have driven Doug crazy too.
So I'm just a character?
Well, you were at first, but now you're something else.
You've literally leapt off the page and taken on a life of your own. It became less of me writing you what to do and you telling me what to write.
After I widened the spectrum of influences I pulled from, gave up on playing a character in favor of trying to be honest, stopped forcing myself to make jokes all the time, and abandoned the Nostalgia Critic formula, it became much easier and more fulfilling for me to make videos. And now that I've done that, I can see that that formula wasn't why I enjoyed watching the Nostalgia Critic in the first place. I enjoyed watching the Nostalgia Critic because when Doug cared about what he was talking about, you could tell.
When you take it upon yourself to represent something that really happened and is still painful and hurts a lot of people, that means you have to do two things. One, you have to grow up and be an adult. Two, you have to actually represent these people as best as humanly possible. You son of a bitch!
That's what I should have taken away from it. When you want to do something, the people who you think are good at that thing seem to know what they're doing so much more than you. But that doesn't mean you need to do it like them. What it probably means is that they put care into their process. So if you really want to be as good as someone at something, don't do it like they do it. Care about it like they care about it.
I'm the optimist. See you next time.
No, I'm not. I'm not a character, I'm just Ewan. By the way, I hit a subliminal Doug in this video, this video, this video, and this video. The first person to find all four will inherit $500 billion and total control of the Oasis. Okay, bye!